In this video, we're going to give a brief introduction about how to use the monitoring tool that is recently introduced by the Akita simulation framework. So if you update it to the most recent version of the master branch on Akita, then you should be able to see this monitoring folder, which contains the implementation of the monitoring tool. And the most recent version of MGPU sim also included the monitoring tool, so you do not need to do anything to include it, to use it. But in case your configuration does not contain the monitoring tool, you can use these few very simple APIs to start the monitoring tool. For example, here I'm in the runner.go file, and before we're starting to build the engine, the driver, the platform, we initialize this monitor. So basically using this monitoring done new monitor function to start a new monitor. And we also need to pass this monitoring monitor to the platform builder, so the platform builder will be able to configure this monitoring tool and register the engine and register the component that needs to be monitored by the monitoring tool. And because the monitoring tool is a server, before we really start a server, before we really start a simulation, we need to call this start server function. And let's see how we use this monitoring tool in the platform builder. So here is the platform builder. We can see the platform builder has this monitoring the monitor. Now we can see where it is used. So this is where it is defined. This is with monitor. Is the function that we have already seen how it is called to pass in this monitor into this platform builder. We can go back here and see the second point here, here. Yep. So we check if the monitoring tool is not new. That means the user wants to use the monitoring tool. Then we need to register engine with the monitoring tool so that the monitoring tool knows what's the progress of the current simulation. And also, if you want to monitor some particular component, you can register those components with the driver. Sorry, with the monitoring tool. For example, here we're registering this GPU driver with the monitoring tool using this register component function. So all the components can be monitored by the monitoring tool. Then let's start a FR benchmark. So here I'm already in the FR folder. Then let's run go build to make sure it is the most recent code. Then let's run FR. Timing length is 1 mega data points, report all, and unified GPU 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make it simple. Let's make it unified GPU 1, 2. So let's run it. Then you can see this line is printed monitoring simulation with this particular port. So this port is randomly generated. If you want to use the monitoring tool, you can use command and click or control and click on Windows to go to this particular website. Then here I'm using Firefox to open this website. And you can see here is the progress of the UI of the monitoring tool. For example, on the right top side, we have two buttons. One is the play button, one is the pause button, and here's the time. If you click on the pause button, then you can pause the simulation. And the play button, you can continue to execute the simulation. It's gonna take some time to execute. You can see here there are two progress bars. That means we're running two kernels simultaneously because we have two GPUs. We are unifying GPU 1 and 2 so that we see GPU 1 executing this particular kernel, GPU 2 is executing a kernel within this ID. And here there's a progress bar, and the progress bar shows that, okay, 640 work groups is currently being executed, 408 work groups has now been dispatched to a compute unit. On this side, we see a list of components that is currently being monitored. And you have to register this component so that it will show up on this side. For example, if we want to look at what's going on with CU00, we can click on it. And you can see the CU00 information is here. Now you can see this is very similar to GDB that you can see all the fields in it. For example, if we want to see in-flight instruction fetch, So you click on it, you see previously there's an empty, so that means there's no instruction, in-flight instruction fetch, but now there's our two elements. And if we click, then there's no. So this is real time. It's just the time you click on it, then the website will send a request to the simulation. The simulation will send the current state back to the server, back to the website. So it's better to pause the simulation so that you can examine what is going on in each component. So you see here, it's making some progress. Then 96 or 104 work groups is completed. And then the number of work group that is currently executed stays 640. And the work groups to be executed, to be dispatched is reducing. So this is the normal how you would normally use the monitoring tool. Okay, so next we're going to debug the simulation hounding problem. So first thing we need to do is to create a simulation hound problem. So how we can solve this problem is in this L1V cache. This L1V cache is currently implemented in this write around folder. So it's a write around cache. So how we are going to do it to intentionally create a bug is to write this line. So we're creating a MSR entry with 0 entries. So when there's a new transaction coming, so um, it will always stop here to find the MSR entry, but because there's no MSR entry available, so it will wait forever. So let's use this debugging tool. So we can see this debugging tool is configured the same way, timing, length, and unified GPU. Now we can run it. Run this simulation, and it will also create a monitoring web page and on this port. You can open it, and let's wait a moment. In the debugging mode, it's a little bit slow. So see here, the progress, the timing is changing. That means the simulation is making forward progress, but since there's no progress bar, that means it's not really executing any kernel. Let's wait a moment. So I know the how will happen soon. Okay, at this time, the kernel start to run. Now it will make some progress, but no work group will finish. Okay, set a breakpoint. Let's disable it and continue. There's a breakpoint here. So here, okay, it is not moving, right? It's not making progress. So we know there's a simulation hounding problem. So we know the simulation hounding happens in L1V cache, so we can directly come here. If you do not know where the simulation hounding happens, you can come to the CU to see if the CU is executing anything, and if the CU has some transactions that is pending that is not returned. Then you can go to L1V ROB, L1V TLB, and L1V address translator, then just go layer by layer down and find exactly where you see the stuck. So we know the problem happens here and it's hounding. So what we can do is we can click on this tick function, this tick button. Then it will actually schedule a tick event to this component, so it will continue ticking. We know the simulation engine stopped ticking this component, but we can use this button to force it to tick. Right now, the simulation engine itself is stopped. So it will not execute this scheduled tick event. So we need to use this button here to continue the execution. I'm not sure what's wrong with this icon here, but definitely there's some problem, and it's not showing the correct icon, but this is a run icon. So we can click on it. Then, so see, it not make forward progress. It was still stuck there. So we need to work together with the debugging tool. So here we're setting a breaking point at the beginning of this tick function. Let me re-enable it. Then let's schedule another tick event, then execute the engine. You can see we trigger the problem here. Now we trigger a breaking point here. So we can check if it's making progress or not. So we're expecting, okay, for some reason it should send some request out, but it's not making forward progress. We can go down the run pipeline. then you probably will have some expectation that some stage will make some progress. So we can continue go down and see the make progress is false every stage, right? So it comes back to the same point and it's not making progress. So simulation hung again, it's not making any time change. So can click on tick again, click on this run button again, then come here. So we know the problem happens in the directory stage, so we can go to the directory stage. Now we can jump in, take directory stage, make the progress and see what's going on here. Then directory stage, let's get into this directory stage.tick. Then get item. Did we get any item? Item is new. Item is not new. We got the transaction, right? The transaction has a particular ID. Then is it read or write? It's a read. So we can get into this read and we can continue go down and see what's the problem. So we know it's a read, then see here. It's querying MSR entry. The MSR entry is new. So for some reason it cannot get MSR entry. Then we actually find a problem. Then you can solve this problem by looking at, okay, what's wrong with this msr.inquiry function. Then eventually you'll find this MR entry, this MSR has no entries. Now we mistakenly set it to as 0 entries. Then the Hunting problem is solved. So this is a whole process about how to use the monitoring tool and how to use the monitoring tool to debug simulation Hunting problem.